Welcome to Feature Fridays. My name is Guy Bartram. I'm Director of Product Marketing for our cloud providers at VMware, and joined today by Jay. Welcome back, Jay. How are you doing?
Hello, Guy. Hello, everyone. I'm doing well, Guy. My name is Jay, and I'm the Senior Technical Product Marketing Architect with the CIVG team. And I basically and mainly handle the VCD portfolio along with most of its extension and some of NSX ALB and NSX product portfolio as well.
Yeah, busy guy with a lot on his plate. This is a big cloud platform. And today we're going to dive into one specific feature, which is a really, really useful feature for our cloud director partners. We hear a lot of times that cloud providers have to create operational guides. They take the VMware docs, change those, and create training materials for customers or tenants to use in Cloud Director. And some of that's fine. It's quite a bit of effort to do that. And we've got this feature called Guided Tours, which I think came in, was it 10.2? It's been around a couple of releases now. And the idea of Guided Tours is to kind of make it much easier to use VCD and provide the explanations in context, right?
Right.
Okay, so let's dive into it, Jay.
Sure. So, like we know, we will talk about guided tours. It was introduced in VCD version 10.2. It's actually a very, very good and product agnostic feature which functions with VCD and any extensibility which can work along with VCD. So that's the very good and the cool behavior of this tool. This tool is basically a player which kind of records the actions you want the player to record. And then you can publish the tool to respective tenants the way you want it. And then you can have the tenants look at the guided tool to understand a certain feature and how it should be configured or how it functions. So basically, I would say like guided tour is a feature where it will show you in real-time practical situation how a feature must be configured, or at least the best practices, and how the user can use that feature if the user does not know how to use the feature in advance, right? So the tenant administrator or the system administrator can basically do a recording of the feature, publish it, and the consumer, which is the end user, can actually run the recorder or the respective tour and understand how the feature looks like and how it should be configured. So this is the whole idea of having guided tour. Like, for example, we used to have, when back in school, right, when we used to write our exam, we used to have a guide which used to give us some best method, best practices. This is something like that in our IT technology. So it will guide you through any feature you want the user to know, which can be recorded and published, and then it is a self-service later on for consumption, from a consumption perspective.
Okay.
So this feature comes in with a pre-built plugin called the Guided Tour. So it is shipped along with VCD. By default, it is not published to any tenant. So by default, only a system administrator can look at the Guided Tour plugin, can create record tours. You can think of tours as demos, and then can publish it to the tenants. But before the guided tours can be published to a tenant, the guided tour plugin itself must be published to the respective tenants, and thereafter the tenant user could be your org administrator, can do their own self-recording of the tours and then let their users use that for their consumption purpose.
Okay, so you've got the service provider being able to record like high-level tours perhaps for the tenant, but then you also got a tenant admin able to. Okay, that's great.
Yeah. So the service provider can, let's say, for example, record some tools for the org admin on how to create org network, for example. And then the org admin can create certain tools for the org users on how to create a VM, how to create a VApp, and some other organizational task specific tours.
Okay.
So the core mechanism of this tool, or of this course, of this feature, is basically on tenant education, wherein, like Guy, you mentioned, right, most of the tenants sometimes want the documentations to be modified, and then they present that modified documentation to their tenants based on how things has to be configured and stuff like that. Instead, they can use this feature where they can record multiple tours and present that to their users on basically how to configure and how to use a feature. And this
Yep.
is also helpful when you need to customize certain, I mean, depending on some other plugins you have in your environment, right? Specific to your environment, which you have built on your own. This tool can help in those situations as well, where you can record the understanding and the behavior and the configurational aspects of the tool, and then present that to your end users. And of course, this is a very user-friendly tool where I'll demo to you how this tool can basically be, how this feature can be used to record demos and then present to the end users. And it is basically an HTML-based feature where it will capture all the HTML in basically whichever section on the page is clickable or highlightable. This tool can understand that beforehand, and it will let you know that okay, these respective options are clickable if the respective field is a text field, or if the respective field has no clickable option. So the player behind the feature automatically understands that, and then it will allow you to find out which option you want to capture based on some certain key combination, which I will again show in the demo. And like we have discussed, this basically helps in a step-by-step guide on how to perform or configure a certain feature. And then, of course, you can give clear guidance for every step with text stating that, okay, this step does this, this, this. You can basically explain the step as well while the tour has been recorded and played after the recording. And like, it's very simple, I said, right? You don't need to have any programming skills. Once you have a hands-on on how to use this tool or this feature, I'm sure it will be pretty easy for you to understand how best way you can utilize this tool to be to record the respective feature which you want to record. And the tool basically simply works with the certain key combinations and mouse clicks. So you don't need to have multiple options to be remembered. It's just two options which we will use from the keyboard, and of course the click of the mouse. What is the objective? Like we have discussed, of course, discover new features. So let's say we have a new feature in the product. You want that to be taught to the end user. So just record a demo of it and present or publish that to the end user, and they can understand that and know how to configure the feature. And like sometimes what happens, right? There are certain features in VCD itself. Let's say, for example, some of the networking features can get a little complex to do a self-service or a self-learning, right? So in those situations, the org admin, depending on the feature type, or the provider admin can record that demo, and then they can present that to the end user. So they can understand by looking at it and understand how to configure a complex level feature as well. And the best thing about this this feature is that it can be recorded from one environment of the same version and can be distributed across environment or across different environment as well, and can be imported and can be used with immediate effect. So it's basically you can export the recorded tool and then import it wherever you want in any other environment. The only condition is that the tool which we record is version specific, because every version within the VCD product, right, has certain user changes, UI changes. So based on that, if so let's say if I record a feature in VCD version 10.4, the placement of that feature might be in a different position or a section within the UI, right? So that might not work in a next version of the product. So this the recording is strictly recommended to be recorded in a respective in a particular version and then distributed within the same version across VCD environments. And
can you force that though, Jay? Because that's quite a lot of re-recording for every time they do an upgrade. So if I jump from 10.4 to 10.5 and let's say nothing's changed, I'm just lucky in what I chose.
Nothing changes. I think you can still do that, but there is a couple of tweaks required to be done in the JSON file manually for the system to understand that this recording was done in the later version of the VCD version. Because when we create this tool, right, at the end a JSON file is created, so that file needs to be tweaked, and then if the UI has not changed for that feature recording, you have to do a basic tweak in the JSON file and import it in the later version of VCD.
Yeah.
And this tool also supports localization. So basically you can record the demo and localize that into the language supported within the plugin. So that is also supported.
Cool.
And things to consider, like I was mentioning, it is a best practice to use the recorded demo for export and import within the same version of the VCD, considering that there could be UI changes and the option might change its position based on the version. So that's the reason it should be used within the same version. And as a best practice, yes, every new release, and if there's a new feature in that particular version, of course, that is the version which has to be used for recording that specific feature demo. And we can import the guided tour file from a local machine or from the GitHub repository, wherein you can import the existing guided tour JSON files and start using them straightforward. And once the tour is saved, right? Let's say I have recorded a tour, and once the tour is saved, you cannot add more steps to the tour from the UI. However, there are alternative methods wherein you can create another tour with just the steps you want to add and merge these JSON files together. So that's one method.
Yeah, I see.
Which you can perform, because there are a lot of times when you think, oh, I should have added this step as well, but I missed it. So it is possible, but through manual method and multiple recordings. And one other thing to understand, the last step on the guided tour is not actionable. Meaning, let's say if I'm creating a V app, okay, and the last step is to click create, correct? And if that click create is the last step in the guided tour, that action will not happen. So you have to have another step added for the create function to action. So always remember, add a +1 step to the guided tour for the last step to be actionable. I'll demo this, what it is all about. So you'll understand it better when I actually demo it. So these are the things to consider.
Yeah.
And how it works, pretty straightforward. We do the recording of the feature. We can do a preview while recording, do edit while recording, save the tour. It will download a JSON file for you on the local machine, re-import the file within VCD, and then you can play the tour or publish it to whosoever you want to. So it's pretty straightforward. So this is the environment I have. This is a 10.5 environment, but the guided tour feature is the same throughout. And so irrespective of which version you're using, from a guided tour interface perspective, it is the same. So first thing to understand that this is the environment, which is 10.5, and I am logged in as a provider administrator. And if I click more and click customize portal, I will have the guided tour plugin by default shipped with the VCD bundle. By default, the guided tour is not published to any tenant. So what I will do is I will click the guided tour plugin, click publish, and I will say publish to all tenants and click save. And I'll click on trust. So this is one way. I mean, this is the first step for a provider admin to allow all users to create their own guided tour. As a provider admin, you can yourself record guided tours as well. And the interface, what a provider admin would see versus what a org admin would see are the same. So just to give you a quick understanding from the provider portal, then I'll switch back to the organization portal, tenant portal. So you have the record new tour option. You have the import tour option where you can import from a local file. Basically, if I have got the file from someone else, which who has distributed the file, I can copy the file to my local hard drive and then import that locally or from GitHub. Now, if I click on the GitHub, right, these are the only GitHub tours available for anyone to consume as of now. And that is of version 10.2.1. So we need to, as you feel it's important, and as the guided tours, right, you can actually, this GitHub, right, this repository of VCD guided tour GitHub is owned by VMware. So as we get more and more requests, we can pre-record guided tours per version and upload them when needed, right? So as of now, we only have these three in the actual GitHub for version 10.2.1. Say, for example, if I want to import this one, let's say manage user quota. So what information do I see on the actual tour file? So it says, of course, the title, the description, how many steps it has, scope, and which language is this recorded in. It's English. Okay. So I can click on the guided tour, click import. So this is how it looks like. This file is now been imported. And now as a provider, let's say, for example, I want to publish this to the tenant. What I'll do, I'll say publish to a respective tenant. Oops. Oh, this is a provider scope. That's the reason I cannot publish to the. Remember that.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Now, how do I get to the cancel? Oops. Okay. So that's one. So in case if you're not able to publish, remember it is a provider scope guided tool. Let's quickly take another one. Let's say working with advisories. Let's see if it's even this is service provider scope. This is a tenant scope. Let's take guided tool, import. So this is the one. Publish. See here, it will say to which org you want to publish, and you can publish it to the respective organization. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, this is the option for recording a tour. So if I click, I'll show the record option from the org tenant portal. It's the same, but it will be more useful for me to do a demo itself directly when I'm recording. So these are the options you have on the guided tour plugin. Now, what I'll do is I'll quickly switch to the org tenant portal. And let's say I had published the plugin to the organization, right? So if I have to check that, let me click on refresh. And I have the plugin now published to this organization. So if I navigate to the plugin, it's the same. Okay, now let's do a recording, and then I'll show you a couple of more options on how to use those options. All right. So for recording, you click the new record tool. Always remember these two keys. One is the control key, and to actually capture the step, you have to press Control Option and D on a Mac window, on a Mac laptop. Okay, Control Option D. Only when you hit Control Option D is when that step will be captured. So basically what I'm trying to say, let's say if I have started the recording, I can navigate to any page I want at the time of recording, unless I don't hit Control Option D option, right? It will not capture that step. So now I'll click on recording. You see at the bottom, I have the option save tour, stop, edit, preview. I will get these other options enabled once I have at least one step in the recording. Now, let's do the recording. So what I'll do now, I will show a guided tour demo recording for creating a VApp template, okay, with one virtual machine. So what I'll do first is, like I said, you can hit control button. Okay, right now as we speak, I am hitting the control button. I can move the mouse to understand which all options it is detecting this player, right? Because you would not know, right? So you would want to first learn, okay, what do you want the user to click, right? Sometimes I want them to just see this. So I have to hover my mouse just outside the card and then hit Control Option D. Example I'm giving, right? So first what I would do is hit Control. I'm hitting Control as we speak, and I will first navigate, and I'm moving my mouse now to see what options are detectable by the tool. Now, for me to create a VApp template, what I have to do first is I have to ask the user to navigate to this option, right? So I'm checking whether this is clickable or not. It is. So what I'll do, I'll keep my mouse on this section of the UI page, hit Control Option D. I will say click VCD. I'm giving very brief description for this demo purpose, but you can go in detail for the users to clearly understand. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, there are a couple of options. One, auto navigate after, let's say, 10 seconds. So what will happen, even if when you play the tour, right, you have the option to hit next. If you don't hit next, it will automatically navigate from this step to the next step within 10 seconds. This one is defining my interval between the steps. This option is not quite ready yet. This option is basically given when you want the guided tour to start from a particular page. Right now, if you look at it, I am at the guided tours page. But what if I want this tour to start from, let's say, a VApps page, right? For that option, so what I will do, I will click on the VApps page, take the URL and paste it over here. It is still not very, it's still not in a very workable condition. It works sometimes, does not work sometimes. So that's the reason.
Couldn't you just
option? Yeah.
Sorry, man. Couldn't you just navigate there before making your first step?
I'll tell you. So let's say I've canceled it for now. Okay. Let's say if I click here.
Yeah.
And let's say I want the step to start from here. Right?
Yeah.
I can, but then what will happen? The actual user who is consuming this tour must also be present in the same page. In general, understand this. In general, I have to play on the guided tour from the guided tour page, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
There's no way possible for me to come here and start the recording. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's say if I'm a user, I have to go to guided tours and click play from this page only. Right?
Yeah. Okay.
If you noticed, our recording is still in progress, but I was able to navigate into multiple pages, but nothing happened unless I hit Control Alt D save, right? So as a first step, I will hover my mouse over this option, Control Option D, click VCD. Again, give clear description. I'm just giving all shortcuts for this demo. I will give an interval and click Add Step. See, now all the options are enabled. I will preview the steps after I have a couple of steps. Now my first step is to click on this is ready. So what I will do while recording, I will get into that step. Now, where do I want the user to click next? I'll hit Control. I want them to click on this card. So this is the right option for me. I will leave my mouse over here. Control Option D. Click org VDC. Requires user to click auto navigate. See, this is the option. Requires user to click on element. This option was not available in our first step. It's a known thing for us. So I'll tell you what's the workaround. Okay. Only when this option is checked when the tool will automatically click on the next step, or when I click on the step, the next button while I'm playing the tour will the action take place. Okay. Add step. Now I'll show you one thing. Okay. I will do a edit step. Look here. There are 3 types of steps you can have in guided tour: show, click, and fill up. Fill up is basically when you want something to be automatically filled up in a text box. Show means you will just see that no action will happen. Click is when the action will happen. Now, in my first step, it was click VCD, correct? But it is still showing as show. It's a small issue with the tool where it does not pick up the click option for the first step. So what you can do, always edit the step, check this box.
Okay. Yeah.
So now when I play the tour, this will be clickable. The first step will be clickable. I click on save. Okay, now I have clicked on the card. Now my next step is what? I want them to create a VApp. I have hovered over my mouse over VApp, Control Option D. Click VApps, auto navigate. If you look here, the click option is missing.
Yeah.
So what I will do, I will just edit this step. Instead of show, it should be click. Save,
Okay.
save. Now, next step is what? I want them to click on new. The guided tour sometimes, not sometimes, the guided tour does not understand a drop-down menu. It does not capture the click. So over here, you have to just hover the mouse over this and write detailed description about click new VApp. Because see, if I'm hitting control, it does not pick up these click.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I will do now is I will hit control option D. I will say click new and then click new VApp. Be as
Yeah.
descriptive as possible. Add step. Again, this has to be a clickable step. Save, save. So what I'll do, click new. I have mentioned click new VApp. So it will now take me to this page. Now, again, I'm hitting control. I want them to type in the name, control option D. Enter VApp name. Now, you would not want the text to be auto-filled. Why? Because let's say if I give a name VM1 and if two users are running the same tool at the same time, it'll have that the second user will not be able to create a VM because VM1 is already existing, right? So in these situations, always let the user fill in the name manually. Okay. And for a text where the user has to enter a text, I generally give a longer duration so they have time to enter the text. Click add step.
That's quite important. So actually, what the tour is actually going to do is actually going to run the sequence of these steps.
Yes.
It's not gonna kind of like, you know, pretend they're running in the
No.
background.
So let's
it's
say
actually running them.
Yeah, so that's where the last step comes into picture, which I was mentioning. If you end the last step in the, let's say the last step for this tour is create, correct?
Mm-hmm.
If my last step is create, it will not click on create. The action will not happen.
Yeah.
If I want the create action to function, I will have another step after that. So it will basically always action the step before the last step.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's up to me how I want to design this. So now I have added this step. Which one? Oops, I'll preview this later. Enter VApp. Now, if you look at it, it says fill in. Fill in will only come in when you select autofill. Though I have not selected autofill, again, we have to come and manually tweak these two. Just click edit and click save. It should be show. Because when it shows the text box is when I can enter. Okay. If it fill in, it will automatically fill in with the text I have pre-filled. Okay. So again, you have to come and tweak this to show. Save. I will now again hit control. I want them to, it can be optional. Enter. Description. Navigate after, let's say 60 seconds automatically. Add step. So if I see here, it's again picked it up as fill in. I have to edit this to show. Just click edit and click save. Show.
Yeah.
Then I want them to check this box. Control option D. Click. Power on. Require user to click. And since this is just a click, I will take 10 seconds. Add step. And then next step is to, I want them to click on virtual machine. Control option D. Click. Add VM. 10 seconds. Add a step. Now, let's quickly do it. Here, what I will do, control, I want them to enter this. Control option D. Enter VM name. Navigate. I do not want the autofill to happen. 60 seconds. Add step. What I have to do, edit step. Change this to show. Save. And then computer name will come automatically. Description, let's skip for now. Then I want them to select from template. required user to click auto navigate in 10 seconds. Add step. Let's say I want them to see again, this can get tricky. Okay. Now in my demonstration, I have this VApp template available. What if someone who is playing this guided tour does not have any VApp template listed, right? In that case, it will not go to next step.
Yep.
Getting my point? So what I
Yep.
what I will say now, I want them to click select this, right? Or maybe something like that. So I'll say select the VApp template. Auto navigate in 10 seconds. Add step. I have to edit and say it to be clickable. Save. So let's say I select this, and now which is the mandatory field? Okay, let's do one thing. Let's do new one just to save time. No, this will take time. Hold on. From template. This one
You need
is
to fill in the name at the top.
okay. Oh, you're right. You're right. You're right. VM1. Which is the other one? Mandatory field. This one. No, not this one. I have to fill one mandatory field here.
Is it the end user requirements?
Probably. So let's say click this. Click accept. Required to click. Oops. 10 seconds. Add step. Okay. And then again, I'll hit control. On OK button. My mouse is on the OK button. Mouse pointer. Click OK. So you see, right, this option appears sometimes, does not appear sometimes. So if the action is clickable, and if you don't see this option, you have to go edit this step and make it clickable.
Yeah.
That little tweak is required. Add step, and then I'll give a name. We have one something, and then last step is to click create. Okay. Now I will not add another step. So basically, this will be the last step of my tour. Add. Now, see in real, now this is creating a VApp for me because I had to record the steps. Now what I will do, I'll just check if everything looks okay. Yeah, looks okay. So I'll do a preview now before I click on save. Preview. See, if I preview from this page, it's not happening. I have to be on the guided tour page.
Yeah,
because step starts from there. Okay. So that's the important thing to understand. See, now automatically I got the step. So either I click next or it will automatically click next in the 10 seconds interval I give. So let it go automatically. So it automatically comes to this step. I will click next if I want to. And then it says click VApp. Next. Now this is not clickable. The next step, since I know I have recorded this, I've given a clear description. So click new VApp. It will automatically pop up the next step. Enter the VApp name, VApp1. Click next. This was optional. Let's say click next. It will check this for me. It will click this for me. Next. VM1. Next. Select from template. Next. Select the VApp. Next. Accept the agreement. Next. Click OK. Next. See, now it's just end tour.
Yeah.
It will not do any action. If I want some action to happen, what I should do, I have to.
In this case, you have to delete the VApp and then.
No. I'll click cancel. And I will say, check this card, basically. I'll have another step. So come and check your VApp. So always it will be. So what I will do, check your VApp here, for example. Okay. Check. Viewer, VApp, auto navigate, 10 seconds, add step. Quickly, I'll preview the tour again. Next. Next. Click next. See, now this is not clickable, right? Remember?
Yeah.
If I do next, nothing will happen. So I have to do it manually. We add to next. Next for now. Next. Add virtual machine. VM2. Next. Select what? Template. From template. And then accept. Next. See, if I click next now, is when it will create the VApp. I hope so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did it? Oh, yeah. No. Yeah,
There
this
we
one.
go. Yeah,
I
two.
did.
Yep.
Yeah, this one, right? So
Yep.
always the last step is not actionable. Now what I have to do, once I'm sure that the steps are functioning the way I want to, right? I can click on Save Tour. So once I click on Save Tour, I can give it a title. VApp template and a description. It can be descriptive. File name, VApp template, and which language do you want this to be stored in. Now understand, when I say, it doesn't mean if I select Italian, it will store in Italian. No. The JSON files, certain codes will have the term Italian. The system must support the Italian language. And I have to, let's say now I have recorded this in English, right? But if I select Italian, it will still be in English. I have to go to the JSON file, change the text everywhere in Italian in the file manually, whichever descriptions I have given, right? Those have to be changed in Italian manually. So I'll show you now. So I'll click Save Tour. It will save this in the local folder. And this is how the file looks like, this one, VApp template. So if I open this, let's say with text edit. Oh, it will be crazy to see. See here, it says English, right? So wherever it has to say that respective language, those code will be embedded. But at the end, let me find some comment which I made in the description. If I can find somewhere here. Like for example, let's search. Click. Oops.
Okay.
So you see here, I have said click VApp, click add VM and all. I have to change to the respective language manually in Italian language, for example.
So it might say IT, but that's just for the system to know it's Italian. You need to still translate it.
Unless your system directly supports Italian language and whatever key you're entering in the description box is in Italian, then it's okay. But since mine is an English supportive first language, this thing, right? So if you want to localize this, it's possible, but it's a manual task.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got it.
That's one thing. Now, the other thing I was saying, right? Let's say, for example, you want to have another step after the last step. Now, there's no option to record. So what you can do, okay, before that, once I save the tour, it will not by default be available in the list. I have to import the tour from local file. And I guess it was somewhere here. It was in downloads.
Yep, JSON, there it is.
So this one. Now it will be available, right? And I can then do edit, save this tour again and do whatever changes I want or delete. Okay, now let's say I want to add another step. Straightforward. Go to that. So what I should do again see, it's still in the recording mode now. Okay, I can stop the recording, do a new recording, go to whichever step you want to be recorded. Basically, let's say for example, I want the end user to click on the VApp. For example, I'm saying. So what you do is you add a step. Okay. For example, click on the VApp, add step, and save the tour. We have template delta, for example. What you do is basically, I'm opening this VF delta file. So I'll take this piece of information, cut and paste in my actual file. So this step will be added after the step, whichever step you want to be added. For example, open with, I'm getting the other file as well. Now this is the other file, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now I want this step to be added at the end. So I have to just make sure that whichever is the opening braces and the curly closing brackets, pick up those information within the bracket. For example, it starts with element selector up to here. Copy this, paste it in this file, save it and re-import it. You'll have an extra step in the guided tour. That's how it is in case you want to append an additional step. Okay.
Okay.
Now,
you could probably sequence those as well with a decent text editor.
You would not want to sequence them because if you missed a step in between, then yes.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you would lose the order and the UI will not support it.
Yeah.
Right? You have to go as per the UI. Now, couple of last few points. Now, by default, whenever I have a new guided tour, right, it will by default appear in the assistance window here. See, this is my new template.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Now, let's say, what if I've dismissed it by mistake? And basically, this is a feature for you to get attention to the certain things I want to, right? So what I can do, I can again click on this 3-dot menu and say include in assistance. So it will reappear here, right? So this is one thing. And you can edit this existing file as well, but edit what? Just the description, the action, but not add or remove steps. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Or just delete all, which doesn't make sense to me. And that's it. And then you can play this tour as you want. And if you play this tour, it will do the same thing as we did in the preview mode. You can pause the preview or the play option and then resume, or just hit the X button to cancel it. So this is all about guided tour. It will take a couple of practice to understand this, but then once you understand this, it's pretty straightforward. So
yeah, it seems that there's yeah, thanks, Jay. It seems that there is some nuances with this feature which make it a little bit I'm not going to say clunky, but a little bit more manual, and you kind of need to know what you're doing in those steps. But otherwise, then you've got a great ability to present to your tenants, either in the assistants or in this kind of tile view in guided tours, like all of the things you want them to be able to do, and highly automate it as well, which is great.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, really nice and simple.
Yeah. So since this tour which we recorded is tenant scope, you'll not be able to import this in the provider portal. So you have to take care of those things as well. So this is a tenant scope tour. So only a tenant can import this in their respective tenant portal.
Okay, got it.
Awesome.
So I guess some best practices would be to have a nice kind of clean UI, run it as a system admin if you want to be able to see those, or a tenant, sorry, system admin if you want to be able to see all your tenant ones. But yeah, have a play, and by all means kind of publish them, create them. I know, Jay, you were thinking about creating some guided tours and publishing them up to the Git repository, right? Yes, I am working on that project where I will be publishing a couple of guided tour for most probably 10.4.1 or 10.4.2 version of VCD, considering we have the partners in major chunk in that version, running in that version. So I will be having that published in the GitHub soon for everyone to consume. Just remember 3 things. I wanted to bring this very clearly. Only 3 types of action you have: click, show, and fill in. So this is where you have to play in with. In case things don't work the way it is supposed to, you have to just make sure whether it should be a show, click, or fill in. This, once you know what these do, you can tweak it the way you want it. There speaks a voice of experience. Excellent. All right, Jay. Well, listen, if you have any questions to the providers out there, then just reach out on the Slack channel or put the comments in the YouTube, and we'll address them as we can. Jay, thanks a lot for running through this feature. Really love it. Good one.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.